Hello friends, welcome back to the Nut House. Today I wanted to share with you some things I'm going to be making for Thanksgiving. So I put my Thanksgiving menu on here. We're going to start out by making the desserts. Now I can go ahead and freeze these pies that I'm making, so that's one less thing that I have to do before Thanksgiving, like the day before. That's usually when I'm rushing around. So I'm going to start my sweet potatoes in a cold oven. Then I'm going to put it at 350 degrees. And I'm going to bake these for about an hour, I would say. Just until, it really depends on how big, your sweet potatoes are. Mine are not that big, so it didn't take too long. Now, some people buy like the canned yams. Do yourself a favor, just get your sweet potatoes and roast them. The sugar caramelizes in them, and it's so much better than those that you can buy in a can. So we're going to get those in the oven and let those cook, and then we'll start making our pie when they're finished. So recently I've been sharing my pie crust recipe and some things I make with it. So I have another video on the channel that shows you exactly, the ingredients to make this. Don't be scared. This is the easiest pie crust you can make. I'm not going to go over it step by step, but you can watch me make it. It is so simple, and I used to be the worst at pie crust. I tried and tried and tried, and this one is a no-fail recipe. I'm just going to get my flour, my baking powder, I used 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 stick of butter, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We'll also use some milk in this recipe as well. And then I like to let it sit in the refrigerator for a little bit to get firm, so it's easier to work with. And then you just roll it out. It couldn't be any easier. So what are your favorite desserts to have for Thanksgiving? My all-time favorite is sweet potato souffle with the crumbled nuts and brown sugar on top. I don't want any marshmallows on my sweet potato souffle, but I absolutely have to have that for Thanksgiving. My dad's favorite is this sweet potato pie. I love it too, but I would say the souffle wins out above it to me. I think it's just because the extra topping on top makes it so delicious. And pecan pie is always served as well. There are so many good recipes that you could choose from, but since I'm not cooking for a huge crowd this year, we're just gonna go with some of the basics and probably the top 3 that my family enjoys. I know a lot of people really like pumpkin pie, but I am not one of those. No one in my family really enjoys it. I think being from the South and always having, sweet potato pie, that when I go to bite into a piece of pumpkin pie, I'm expecting sweet potato, and I get the taste of pumpkin, and it's not the same. it's to me, it's just not as good. But I know a lot of people who like it. I'm just not one of them. So you won't see me making any kind of pumpkin pie, but later on I'm going to show you how to make a pumpkin bread that is good. But I'm just not a fan of the pie. I'm sure that some people can make it delicious, but when you've grown up with sweet potato, that's what you come to expect. And so that's what I'm making here today. Now you can always buy a refrigerated pie crust or even a frozen pie crust if you're in a hurry. But since we have plenty of time before Thanksgiving, and these are going to go in the freezer already cooked, and I can put it in the refrigerator the day before, then a homemade pie crust always tastes better. And if you haven't tried it, please try it. But I'm sure that you'll come to the same conclusion that a homemade from scratch pie crust tastes nothing like the kind you get at the store. It's just so much better. Like I said before, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator. You could use some plastic wrap, or I have a cling wrap here, or even a Ziploc bag. And I'm going to roughly shape it into a round disc shape and put it in the refrigerator for a couple hours, just so it's easier to handle. So now we're going to peel the potatoes. They have cooled. Do not peel them right when they come out of the oven because it will burn your fingers. So I've just left a towel over them and let them cool for a while because my pie crust already needed to sit in the refrigerator for a while. The skin peels off really simple, and we're going to put it in the mixer. Now, if you don't have a mixer, you can use a hand mixer, or you can even, you can do it by hand, but I want this to be pretty smooth, and so I'm going to use my stand mixer with the whisk attachment. So we're going to get those in there and get those whisked up, and then we'll add the rest of our ingredients. You'll notice here that the brown is the caramelized sugars that are inside the potato, and it just makes them so sweet and so delicious. They are good just eaten like this. I like to eat mine with a little butter. They are so good. So during the Thanksgiving Christmas season is when a lot of things would go on sale, and I shared some of those things with you in a previous video on sales that you can't afford to ignore. Sweet potatoes are one that goes on sale, and when they do, I like to roast them and put them in 2-cup measurements in a Ziploc bag and freeze them, because it's much cheaper to buy them, when they go on sale for sometimes 39 cents a pound. And then if you were to have to pay 99 cents to $1 something a pound. So you can even can them, but my favorite way is to roast them, so all those sugars just concentrate, and then freeze them. And then when you need it, you'll have them in your freezer and just thaw them and use them the same way that I'm doing here. So not all of this is going in the pie. Only 2 cups will go in each pie. I'm only making 1 today, and the rest of this I'm going to use for my sweet potato souffle. So I'm going to measure out 2 cups of the sweet potatoes that I creamed together. We're going to get that into the mixing bowl, and then we'll start adding our sugar and other ingredients. So I've added the cup of sugar. Now I'm going to get this mixing and go ahead and melt a half a stick of butter in the microwave so that we can get that into the mixing bowl as well. So we're going to add 2 eggs. Then I'm going to pour the rest of that butter into the mixing bowl. And then we'll add a cup of milk. And then we're going to add our spices. So this is an old-fashioned pie, so it's not really heavily spiced. You know, sometimes you'll buy them at the grocery store or something and it's just very strong. This is not that kind of pie. This is an old-fashioned pie. I think that's the reason why my dad likes it so much, because you can really taste the sweet potato in it. So we'll add 1/4 teaspoon of salt, also 1/4 teaspoon of ginger, and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now I like to add something a little different that most people probably don't add into it. Now typically you add vanilla, but I like to add vanilla, and then I think it's called Mapeline or Mapeline extract. It's a maple flavoring that tastes like maple syrup. It makes the pie smell and taste so good. So I wish you could smell it. It is so good. Anyway, I'm going to add that in. I'm just adding a splash. I'm not measuring that. And then we'll get our pie crust rolled out. And we're going to bake this pie at 350 degrees for around an hour. Just until it kind of sets. It won't look like it's completely done, but it is. And I would give it an hour at the most. And then let it cool completely, and that's when I'm going to freeze mine. So this pie crust recipe makes 2 pies. I'm going to do 1 sweet potato and then 1 pecan pie. And I'll have the pecan pie in another video. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we flour our surface well, because if we don't, we're going to have it sticking and it's going to break. So when we're rolling it out, we want to make sure that we continually add a little bit of flour. Even if it starts to stick, we will definitely add some to the rolling pin and just start working from the center of the dough out. Mine wasn't a circle this time, like a perfect round circle, but that's okay because I cut it and made it work, and it's going to taste just as delicious. If it was perfect or not, it's going to taste great. We're just going to fold this top of the dough over onto itself, and then we're just going to crimp it. I'm going to use my fingers, but you can use a fork or you can leave it like it is. It's really a rustic homemade pie, so it doesn't need to be perfect. It's going to be delicious, and that's what matters. It will taste better than any store-bought, so it doesn't matter if it's ugly. So go ahead and make it even if it's not pretty. So we're going to pour the pie filling in, and I'm going to put mine on a cookie sheet because I don't want it to overflow. It did not overflow this time, but you never know, and I do not want to have to clean out the bottom of my oven and it's smoke and everything. That's a nightmare. So we're going to go ahead and get that in the oven for, like I said, it took mine an hour. I let mine cook for 60 minutes. And I wanted to say thank you to everyone that subscribed to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. And like and leave me a comment down below. I love talking with you guys. So I wanted to show you, I did a short a little bit back about my saving soap with this little dish contraption. Now, I use this to wash my dishes with because, as you probably know, I don't have a dishwasher. And we were going through a ton of soap that dries my hands out so bad, because when your hands are always in water, for some reason, they are always dry, especially with commercial soap. So my mother-in-law made me some bars of dish soap, and then I bought some stuff to make some, I think it's goat's milk soap and shea butter soap. But I love the goat milk soap because it's really, really silky to your hands afterward. But I had a question on how I use it, and this is how I use it. I fill up my dish strainer with water in the dishes, and I just shake it, the water over it, and it suds up, and it cleans the dishes really well. Now, I will say that if you have plastic dishes like the little spatula that I have there, plastic seems to want to hold on to grease a lot more than your metal or stainless steel. So I do use my homemade Dawn Power Wash on things that I just cannot get the grease off of, if there's any plastic bowls, and mostly it's just plastic. So I do use that too when I have to, but this saves so much of that dish soap. Also, little bits of soap that are left, like the little hand soap that I made. You could probably see it's green right there in the corner. I take the little jibs of it and I put it in that soap cage, they call it. And that way it uses all of it and there's no waste. And in this economy, we can use all the help we can get not to waste anything. So I thought I would show you. I like to watch videos of people cleaning and doing their dishes. It really motivates me to get up and get busy. So I thought I'd add that in there and show you. I had some people question whether I use this soap cage with a sponge, and I do not. If I were going to use a sponge, I would just rub the soap on it. But here I like to soak my dishes in some hot soapy water so all the stuff just basically melts away. So the pie is ready to come out of the oven. I'm going to show you a picture of it. It smells so delicious. And that's one last thing I have to do for Thanksgiving. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you on the next video.